Okay, last video. This video focuses on the principles for designing writing techniques, and we'll probably look at some extra writing techniques in detail at the end of this video too. The first principle for designing writing techniques is to incorporate practices of good writers. What does this really mean? Practices of good writers? Basically, when you design a technique, consider a few things that a good writer may do when he or she is the one doing the writing. So as you choose a technique or design a technique for your writing class, tell yourself, good writers will do these things, right? They will focus on a goal or the main idea of my writing, in my writing. They may also think about their audience. They may spend some time planning what to write, and they can easily let their first ideas flow onto their paper. They have this general organizational plan as they write. They utilize feedback on their writing when they get some, right? And they don't strictly follow the certain sentence forms or patterns in their writing. They may also revise their work willingly and efficiently. They also patiently make as many revisions as needed. So once you design your technique, you should also somewhat expect your students to follow these practices that good writers would do if they were in their shoes. The next principle is balance, process, and produce. This is another principle for designing a writing technique. Again, writing is a process, which means it may take multiple drafts before a final product comes out. So be sure to lead students through the process of putting their writing together. Brainstorming, outlining, revising, drafting, right? And then the ultimate goal is the product of that writing. So let students know that after going through a long process of outlining, brainstorming, drafting, the final product will be worth it. So create a balance between the process of writing and making sure that you and all of your students know ultimately we want the final product to be worth it. Another principle for designing writing techniques is to think about cultural and literal backgrounds. This means that your techniques should not require English that is beyond your students' level and should not interfere with their traditional beliefs either. So again, whatever topic for your writing technique is, make sure that it does not involve any cultural or literal backgrounds of students that can be deemed offensive. Another principle is to give as much authentic writing as possible. Oh, sorry, not that one. Reading and writing are connected. There is no writing without reading, obviously. So students need to read to understand the instruction, for example, right? Yeah, because before they start writing something down, they need to understand what they are going to write about. So they may encounter prompts, topics, whatever they are that can help them get started with their writing. So again, reading helps a lot when it comes to writing because it helps them activate their prior knowledge. For example, you may ask students to read a short text about a topic that you are going to ask them to write, right? So when they start reading about that topic, they have some general ideas. So when they start writing a related topic, they already have some pre-existing knowledge that can be used to include in their own product. Last but not least is the authentic writing. If you remember the real writing from the previous video, you'll know that authentic writing refers to real writing. So mostly or occasionally, students should be asked to write about the real world. Okay, your techniques should sometimes involve situations where students have to write, for example, a newsletter, write a report, a CV, a cover letter, presentation, even advertisement. Writings like these can actually help them when they go out into the real world. Another principle is to ensure that your techniques follow 3 stages: pre-writing, drafting, and revising. So what can you have students do in the pre-writing stage? Now, in the pre-writing stage, you can ask students to do a few things. You can ask them to read extensively, for example, a passage to try to activate their knowledge about a topic as discussed earlier. Right? You can ask them to skim or scan a passage just to get some general idea about a topic. You can ask them to conduct research about related topic outside, brainstorm ideas, or probably list down some related words or ideas about that topic, so when they start writing, they have some words, right, pre-installed in their memory. They can also be asked to discuss a related topic or question too, again, to attempt to activate the knowledge that is already existed in their mind, so that when they start writing about a related topic, they have some ideas pre-made for them. Another stage is the drafting stage. So what can you do in the drafting stage after doing a lot of activation when it comes to their knowledge about that topic? So in the drafting stage, students can do a few things. Number one, you need to get students to do some free writing first. Free writing basically refers to allowing students to write without or with little to no interference from you, teachers. So you allow them to write. Okay, just let them have their ideas, or write down their ideas on the paper, whatever they are, right? And then you as a teacher can also help monitor them, but offer very little help, right? To probably grammar or probably wording. Okay, yeah. And then after they have produced their own drafts, you can move on to the revising stage, where you have students do peer review, right? And then they get feedback from their peers, and then you are the one giving feedback as well, right? They help each other edit grammatical errors or any word usages, or probably any, cohesive devices, whatever they are. Okay, provide as many feedback as possible before they start producing the final, or at least finalizing their writing. So another principle is design techniques that are as interactive as possible. The main idea of this principle is basically to let you know that learning to write is not done alone, right? It is not done alone. As students are going through the process of writing before the final product, they will get to go through the 3 stages of writing, in which they engage with peers in discussion questions, brainstorming activities, revising techniques, editing each other's work, and these involve a collaborative work from everyone in the class. So they actually learn better when they get to work with their friends. Another principle is to respond or correct students' writing. So this happens in the drafting stage. It is important that we give attention to students' errors. However, our help or correction only plays a very small part. Ultimately, students are the ones who will reflect on those errors. So consider yourself as a guide for now and facilitate your students. You can critically judge your students' writing when you are looking at the final product, but for now, as they are doing the drafting, you should not judge them too much, but rather facilitate their writing. So here are the do's and don'ts when it comes to responding to the first draft of your student, right? So you may spend some time going through these to see what you should do, should not do when it comes to correcting students' mistakes with the drafts, not the final product, the drafts. Another principle is quite important, this one. It's about instructing students on the final conventions of writing. Pretty difficult terminology to understand, but it's pretty simple. Each type of writing comes with its own formal constructions or structures. So make it clear to students about how to write a clear thesis statement, a topic sentence, or supporting ideas. Make it clear to students that supporting ideas can come in the form of description. Supporting ideas can come in the form of evidence or facts or opinions or statistics. Explicitly tell students that they can use these linking words to create a cause and effect between two ideas, or to contrast or compare two ideas by using these linking words. So the idea behind this principle is to make sure that you explicitly show students that these are the things they should do with their writing. When it comes to, let's say, an argument essay, they need to use these words to create an argument. They need to use this structure to create this essay for the argument essay, right? So it's basically about making it clear to students that there are specific rules, structures, words for that particular type of writing. Another common principle is basically something that you've been aware, and that is writing should still be meaningful too. So if you recall what makes grammar teaching meaningful, you'll know what that is, right? So techniques used for writing should be meaningful, right? And what can make techniques for writing meaningful? Something that can challenge your students to think, and your topics for writing have to be personalized too, relating to students' backgrounds or knowledge. Another short principle is that students should automatically get their writing experience in class, and they can do that through writing techniques, responding to questions, or probably writing answers down, right? So the idea with this principle is that as students study in the class, they automatically get that writing experience, right? So you may ask them to write something down, they do it, that's considered as their writing experience. Another principle is that students' writing should not just be for correcting mistakes, right? It should not be for just correcting mistakes. At least give your students' writing some attention to it, right? Some attention to it. So it's not just for mistake corrections, but it should be used as something more than that, because they put a lot of effort into producing their writing product. Meaningful writing helps students learn better. I don't think I need to say anything more about this, pretty self-explanatory. Okay, again, what makes your writing meaningful? They can challenge students to think, and they are dealing with topics that are personalized to them. Students should have enough time to write in class. Obviously, in class, writing is a long process again, so make sure that you give students sufficient time to go through that process before the final product. But do not forget that in an exam, they don't have that much time. If students write something in the book, it is what helps them learn. So whatever you ask students to write down in their notebook, make sure that it's something that they can use to help them learn for themselves. Students learn to write faster with topics they know. Again, if you personalize your writing topics, obviously they already have pre-existing knowledge on that topic. So when they are dealing with topics that they already know, it's easier for them. It's easier for them to focus on their writing while also letting their ideas flow onto their paper. Have students do a lot of writing in pairs or groups. Again, writing is not an isolated task somehow, because again, you have to go through the process, and that process may involve working together with pairs or groups, in pairs or groups. So have them do a lot of writing in pairs or groups when it comes to that process, but the final product obviously is their own product. So here are some extra writing techniques in detail. Again, these are already explained in the book, in the chapter. So if you want to implement a particular writing technique that fits your students' background, level, please choose one and go through the detail to see how the technique works. And these are a summary of different types of techniques put into different categories. So whatever that you think can be benefited from your class, from your students, please go ahead and choose one and go to that specific technique and see how the technique works.